Welcome to another episode of Return Trajectory. Now, I had been doing some more video encoding and stuff like that, but since the quality of my first episode was just so bad, I've been using some different software, mainly to convert everything to a usable format instead of AVI, which Sony Vegas does not like, to MP4. So this probe is recovered footage that I got from actually converting those video files. This is the Spaces Dangerous 1, which is the first probe I sent up for that basic science. That was quite a bit of wobbling there. I don't know what I'm saying. But anyway, this is basically the probe that was used to get basic science from the launch pad while in flight, upper atmosphere, which we're getting just now, and then also in space near Kerbin. So the footage that I showed last time was the second rendition of this actual flight, but because I did convert the file types, I was able to actually get my footage back. Which makes me wonder, because I had a few other crashes that KSP had from reaching maximum memory overload from all the mods that I've got installed. So I had done some adjustments to my graphics and some of the file size stuff to, manage the amount of RAM that my system was using. So this was a basic, get in orbit, um, jettison, all that stuff, getting awards for actually, you know, the air getting thin. I don't know why it gave me that. And just jettisoning those. Another thing that I want to make sure that I do is to not have any debris in orbit, because I don't want to have to deal with it. And if I do have any debris, then the goal is to, run recovery missions. I was so glad that nothing exploded on the way down. So just eject that heat shield, pop the landing gear. I had designed this probe originally with the intention that, if it does land on the surface where there's, grass or something, then I'd be able to, deal with that. But it really wasn't an issue. And I was actually surprised that this survived tipping over in the water. What we got here was all the science from that particular mission, which was nice. And then this was a clip that I used after my game did something stupid after spending all the science. When I exited right here and tried to build something, my game crashed, which is fantastic. So I went ahead and reloaded, but because I just finished that mission, I didn't really care. So we loaded the game back up. We went to the VAB, did a few adjustments, and got ready to launch our next ship. So this is the Spaces Dangerous 2, technically. Now this mission had 2 extra solid fuel boosters attached to the side radially, as you can see. This is designed to go on a flyby of the moon. And if I could, I would get 2 samples of the goo canisters and 2 samples of the material bay. That way we don't have to redo that science once we eventually do go back to the moon. And then the plan is to send another one off to Minmus and do the same flyby to get all that science high above and then close to, and then the goal is to start exploring further. I'm going to jettison these next engines here. Come on, up, there we go. Next stage, and those exploded on the way down, but we don't have chutes on those. Those are, just disposable engines. And we're going to eject the next stage. There we go. Awesome. And you guys saw this from the last one. This is the exact same model that we used for the Spaces Dangerous 1, except this version has solar panels and better batteries, which is nice. I think it has solar panels. Nope. Nope, no solar panels. You reused the same design and launched it again, except for adding some, what do you call it? Oh, just those extra side solid rocket boosters. So we're going to coast up to our apoapsis and burn some more. Apoapsis is about 74 kilometers. Luckily, I do have plenty of fuel here. I wasn't really worried about running out of fuel. It was just the point of, chasing that apoapsis as it's in front of me to get in orbit and, 2200-ish meters per second. Our periapsis is about 44 kilometers, and I know with debris flying through the atmosphere at that level, it's going to take a while for it to actually burn off that speed, even with the orbit this low. So I retro burned a little bit because I did have the fuel to spare. No struts. We've got a little bit of wobble, getting that down to 17 kilometers. That's good. And ejecting those. They still had some fuel in them. Not a big deal. Going to activate the next stage and continue our burn up into orbit. I love LV909 engines early on. They're fantastic. And we've got a stable orbit of 78 by 72 kilometers. So the next goal is, since the moon is closer, we're going to go ahead and aim for that. I thought about going to Minmus first, because I was like, you know what, we might as well. But I didn't see where the moon's inclination was, and I was like, you know what, that moon is right in my way, so I might as well aim for the moon instead. And it's right above the horizon, so it's the perfect time to burn. So I didn't even target the moon. I didn't even plan any maneuver nodes. I was just like, let's burn towards the horizon, because if I burn right now, I'm going to hit the moon anyway. Let's go ahead and speed through this burn. We don't want to sit here waiting here the whole time. 4 times time acceleration. Yay. Burning towards the moon. Burn didn't take too long. It was about 30 seconds or so. And we switch back to real time now. We're getting an encounter of the moon. And since we're coming around the outside, we're getting a nice gravitational slingshot maneuver. So I was like, well, if that gravity slingshot could take me out all the way near Minmus's orbit, I wonder if I can. Oh, and look, we've got a relatively close-ish, and there you go. We've got an encounter above Minmus right now from the gravity slingshot from around the moon. So I changed my mission parameter right here. Instead of going, get 2 things of science from the moon and then 2 things of science from Minmus, I thought, we might as well just get 1 report above the moon, 1 report close to the moon, and then slingshot past the moon, get into an encounter from Minmus, and then get the science from that and come back. 2 birds, 1 stone, 1 rocket. Why not? So I adjusted my periapsis above the moon to be, around 10, 11 kilometers, which is, a safe distance, and you can still time warp at about 10 times at that altitude. So we're coming in on the moon. I'm gonna get ready to slow down time real quick here. So we got into the sphere of influence of the moon. I just burned down towards it a little bit, or I was adjusting things, or trying to do maneuver nodes, or fix inclinations, or something. I don't know. I'm doing post commentary here. Just screwing around with maneuver nodes, trying like, all right, well, where do I need to burn to get that encounter with Minmus? And I was just screwing around with my maneuver nodes, and then I got an encounter, and then I was screwing around with it some more, and then trying to tweak it some more. But at these ranges, the encounters are really hard to deal with just with a maneuver node editor. And I got it pretty close to like 100 kilometers or so. And I was like, all right, that's good. And then went ahead and aimed at the prograde marker for the maneuver node. Then I was like, you know what, screw it. I need to do my science. So I just kept it relatively where I remember where the maneuver node was, and I was planning on burning, after I do my low altitude pass. So I'm gonna go ahead and open up our first experiment tray, and then our first goo container. We get those and we save the diet that we keep data. Go ahead and time warp all the way down to the moon, or close to the moon. I guess gravitationally speaking, down is relative. Whenever someone asks you, what's up? You say, any direction away from the center of the Earth, the nearest gravity well that is technically defined as up. And you would be completely correct. So we're going to go ahead and get our science from close to the moon's surface, or just above, or near the moon, whatever. get that science. Yeah, we did add solar panels. I was wondering. Okay, so we do have the ability to recharge our batteries, which does enable us to open up longer duration flights because before we were relying on battery power. So I've still got my nose pointed in the same direction. I'm burning a little bit after shooting off from the moon's gravity well. Just trying to get that encounter, and we're getting that close encounter to a certain degree, and this maneuver node was just getting real close on that encounter, and then we've got a gravitational encounter on Minmus. So I was just basically burning in random directions right now, trying to get an encounter as close as possible. And then I was like, you know what, 6 kilometers is good. Once I enter the sphere of influence of Minmus, I'll worry about, exactly where I'm gonna pass, because I can do that on its outer sphere of influence and save on fuel. And as you can see, our fuel budget isn't bad, and it's not gonna cost us much. But the encounter disappeared when I got to here, so I was like, okay, what's going on? And it wasn't showing up because I had an encounter from the moon, and then I was like, okay, here we go. So what I did here is I'm using the advanced nav ball. So that one right there is telling me that I'm going to burn at the planet, technically. So I go ahead and burn at the planet, or at Minmus. And then I want to come around on the outside, so Minmus's gravity will kind of slow me down relative to its orbit. That way I don't have to expend as much fuel coming home. Plus it's on the daylight side. So 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 12 kilometers, that's good enough. Anything below 30 kilometers above Minmus tech counts as close to it. Just to, for future reference. So we're going to go ahead and get our high above Minmus and our GU report. There we go. Ah, that's a lot of science. That's more than the moon, I guess because it's further away. So we're going to go ahead and swing in next to Minmus. Go ahead and time warp in. Hello, Minmus. And there we go. Slowing out of our time warp, get to that periapsis. Slowing down. We're going to go ahead and get our next GU report and science experiment report. Give me that. Open up both of them. And go ahead and keep the data. Next things, well, we need to come home. So let's go ahead and point prograde and just burn. That's a simple way to do it, right? It should work. And yeah, it will. But we're still going to have a bit of a weird orbit because of Minmus's inclination. Well, I guess the moon wanted to grab me there for a second. And coming in. What's it at? I can't tell. Zoom in. 49, 48, 50. Just me moving around is causing some havoc. Well, that's the wrong way. Let's go ahead and point the other way. We don't want to have an even weirder inclination. There we go. And 30, 19 kilometers. That's good. We can safely re-enter the atmosphere at that inclination. We've only got about 21 units of fuel left. Not that I'm worried. We're on a return trajectory. Sphere of influence change always freaks out my camera. Hello, Kerbin. Let's go ahead and point our butt towards the hotness, or where it's gonna be hot, and get ready to re-enter the atmosphere. Now, as you can see, my parachutes are set for an altitude of 50 with a maximum air pressure of 5 units. Whatever those units are, I don't know. But anyway, I have noticed that it pops open at about 4 to 5 kilometers up, which is a lot better than 10. And we're getting some massive re-entry heat on that engine. About 1500 degrees, so I went ahead and ejected it. We're using our heat shield now, and it is taking damage. Not a lot, nothing too terrible to worry about. Generally, heat shields, from my experience, I haven't had any fail on me, but I'm generally relatively cautious on my re-entries. This one was a bit more aggressive than normal. Generally, I like to have anywhere from 30 kilometers to maybe 25, but that 20 to 18 kilometers was a bit more aggressive than I normally do, which is probably why I got so much re-entry heat on that engine. but it tapered off pretty quickly. Now, this model does not have landing gear because I was like, whatever, I'll land in the water. No big deal. And it's cold enough to go ahead and not worry about that heat shield, so we ejected. We've got Mach effects. SAS is off, so we're just letting the natural aerodynamics of the atmosphere bring us in. Parachutes deployed, but as you can see, the chutes have not actually popped out yet because I have them set for their, higher density atmosphere deployment. Coming in at 4 times time acceleration. There we go. Chute deployment at about 3,500 meters. There goes the heat shield. Chutes deployed. Oh yeah. So we hit the ground. Uh-oh. Fall. Oh, no, 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 no. Oh, no. Oh, I lost that last science experiment module, but the other ones are intact. Well, let's go ahead and recover this and get those material bays before they roll too far. We do want to save that science. So we got 155 from that mission, so we're up to 180. That's cool. Let's go ahead and finish that. Done. And let's go back to the tracking station and recover those Space is Dangerous 2 debris, which is a science module. So I got that back and got an additional 250. So I lost that science that was close to Minmus, unfortunately, which really sucks. But, what can you do? But we do have 430 science to spend. So let's go ahead and go there. And let's go ahead and spend this science. So let's see, what's first? Well, we like struts, so let's get those. Let's get those bigger fuel tanks. What else? Um, hmm. Let's see. There's all sorts of good stuff. The curvable attachment stuff is nice. There's not really anything I could use there right now. More kethane stuff, RCS stuff. Oh, fuel lines too. Bigger engines, bigger life support stuff. More probe engines. Small decouplers, those are nice. Heat radiators, bigger batteries, and different solar panels. Let's go ahead and get fuel lines. That's going to be important for asparagus staging. Mm, Nothing really there. Getting more science equipment would be good for the experiments, for more science. That barometric stuff really isn't all that useful to me at the moment. Let's go ahead and get the electricity. And might as well get the temperature gauges. Alright, let's go ahead and design a new ship and continue with our next mission. So this ship worked great. Let's go ahead and save this since it worked. Save and make new ship. Alright, let's start with the probe. Because all good ships start with the probes. But this will have to continue in our next episode of Return Trajectory.